Hello everyone. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, then subscribe to this channel. Malcolm X, conceived Malcolm Little and later known as El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, was an unmistakable figure in the American social liberties development. His life and work are set apart by an excursion of change and an unflinching obligation to the battle for racial balance and equity. As a pioneer, speaker, and mastermind, Malcolm X's heritage keeps on impacting the continuous battle for social equality and civil rights in the U.S. and then some. This exposition investigates his life, convictions, and persevering through influence. Early life and difficulties. Malcolm Little was brought into the world on May 19, 1925, in Omaha, Nebraska, to Lord and Louise Little. His dad was a Baptist minister and a functioning ally of Marcus Garvey's all-inclusive Negro Improvement affiliation, which pushed for dark independence and strengthening. Lord Little's contribution in the development made him an objective of racial viciousness, and the family confronted steady dangers from racial oppressor bunches like the Ku Klux Klan. At the point when Malcolm was only 6 years of age, his dad kicked the bucket under dubious conditions, broadly accepted to be a homicide by racial oppressors. The family's house was burned to the ground, and his mom, Louise, battled to help her 8 kids. Ultimately, she experienced a psychological episode and was focused on a psychological organization, prompting the family being separated among encouraged homes. These early encounters with racial viciousness and unsteadiness profoundly impacted Malcolm and molded how he might interpret racial foul play. Notwithstanding being a brilliant understudy, Malcolm exited school after a white educator let him know that his fantasy about turning into a legal counselor was ridiculous for a dark kid. Baffled and disappointed, he moved to Boston to live with his relative. Life of wrongdoing and detainment. In Boston, Malcolm became associated with an existence of wrongdoing, participating in exercises, for example, betting, drug managing, and burglary. He moved to Harlem, New York, where he proceeded with his crimes and embraced the road epithet Detroit Red because of his rosy hair. His way of life ultimately found him, and in 1946, Malcolm was captured for thievery and condemned to a decade in jail. Jail ended up being a defining moment in Malcolm's life. While imprisoned, he went through a significant change. He was acquainted with the lessons of the Country of Islam, NOI, a strict and political association that pushed for dark strengthening and division from white society. The NOI's chief, Elijah Muhammad, taught that white individuals were intrinsically malicious and that individuals of color ought to look for autonomy and independence. Malcolm embraced the lessons of the NOI, switching over completely to Islam and denying his previous existence. He supplanted his last name, close to nothing, with X to represent the deficiency of his African family and the dismissal of his slave name. Malcolm X rose up out of jail in 1952 as a dedicated devotee of Elijah Muhammad and an enthusiastic promoter for the Country of Islam's message. Ascend as a Country of Islam pioneer, after his delivery, Malcolm X immediately rose to unmistakable quality inside the Country of Islam. His mystique, knowledge, and strong speech abilities made him a compelling representative for the development. He traversed the U.S., conveying talks and selecting new individuals to the NOI. Malcolm's message of dark pride, self-preservation, and monetary strengthening resounded with numerous African Americans who were baffled with the sluggish advancement of the social liberties development. Under Malcolm's administration, the Country of Islam developed essentially, extending its impact and laying out sanctuaries in significant urban areas. He established the NOI's paper, Muhammad Talks, which turned into an integral asset for spreading the association's message. Break with the Country of Islam. Notwithstanding his prosperity, Malcolm X's relationship with the Country of Islam and Elijah Muhammad started to break down in the mid-1960s. He became disappointed with the association's severe separationist position and its hesitance to take part in the more extensive social liberties development. Malcolm additionally found charges of Elijah Muhammad's own wrongdoing, which further stressed their relationship. In 1963, Malcolm's public remarks following the death of President John F. Kennedy, where he depicted the occasion as past events coming to fruition, prompted his suspension from the Country of Islam. The remark was generally reprimanded, and Elijah Muhammad hushed Malcolm for 90 days. In Walk 1964, Malcolm X formally left the country of Islam and set out on another way. He established the Muslim Mosque Incorporated and later the Association of Afro-American Solidarity, OAAU, which meant to join African Americans in the battle for social equality and advance fortitude with African countries. Change and journey. Subsequent to leaving the country of Islam, Malcolm X went through a significant change in his convictions. In April 1964, he left on a journey to Mecca, known as the Hajj, which ended up being an extraordinary encounter. In Mecca, Malcolm experienced Muslims of various races and nationalities, testing his past perspectives on race and driving him to embrace a more comprehensive comprehension of Islam. After getting back to the U.S., Malcolm X embraced the name El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz and started supporting for racial solidarity and basic liberties. He communicated a willingness to work with other social equality pioneers and associations, perceiving the significance of a unified front in the battle against racial mistreatment. Malcolm's developing perspectives were reflected in his addresses and compositions. He started to underscore the significance of casting a ballot rights, monetary strengthening, and self-protection, pushing for a logical way to deal with accomplishing racial uniformity. Death and inheritance. Malcolm X's life was unfortunately stopped on February 21, 1965, when he was killed while giving a discourse at the Audubon Dance Hall in New York City. 3 individuals from the country of Islam were sentenced for his homicide, however questions and discussions encompassing the death stay right up to the present day. Notwithstanding his unfavorable passing, Malcolm X's inheritance perseveres. He is recognized as a bold backer for equity, a splendid speaker, and a visionary chief who rocked the boat. His self-portrayal, co-composed with writer Alex Haley, stays an original work, giving understanding into his life, convictions, and change. Malcolm X's impact reaches out past the U.S. His message of self-assurance and strengthening resounds with mistreated individuals around the world. He is praised as an image of opposition and a boss for common liberties, rousing developments for civil rights and uniformity across the globe. Malcolm X's life was an excursion of change and enduring obligation to the battle for equity and equity. From his initial encounters with racial brutality to his ascent as a forerunner in the country of Islam and his ensuing change, Malcolm's heritage is one of boldness, strength, and strengthening. His effect on the social liberties development and his commitments to the battle for racial uniformity keep on rousing ages to take a stab at an additional fair and impartial world. Thank you for watching.